And we're live.
We are live. 3, 2, 1. I'm speaking with Mr. John Hoover, a follower, subscriber who reached out to me, who has a very interesting life, a lot of interesting commentary, has gone places where most people will never go in their life. And we're talking about manhood, career, advice to young men today. John, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it and giving me a little voice here for you, and good to meet you as well.
Yeah. It's great when you're finally, when you finally meet people face to face who you've corresponded with. There's something that happens when you're face to face with somebody that doesn't happen when you are just emailing back and forth.
Yeah, because you get to see the face and the eyes and the nuances and tone of voice. Texting is probably one of the oldest methods of communication we have. It can be fairly emotionless, or the emotion meaning can get scrambled.
Yeah.
It's not a very precise means of communication, as opposed to talking with someone and hearing their voice, or this. I mean, I would have loved to have had this technology when I started my career working offshore. I was a commercial diver in the North Sea. I went over when I was 20 to Scotland and spent 8.5 years working in the North Sea as a diver. And worked on the oil rigs and worked from ships, worked from rigs, got into the deep saturation work. My deepest dive was 700. And to go down and turn a valve on a wellhead.
What is the deepest dive that you've ever done?
760 feet.
750 feet. Wow. What kind of pressure?
All right, it would be half a pound per foot. So 760 would be what, 380 pounds per square inch. But you don't feel the pressure on your body necessarily. Your breathing becomes more labored. Okay? But otherwise, you don't feel like a crushing pressure on your whole body. And so at 760 feet, you're really not breathing so much as like you're chewing and swallowing your air. Heliox mixture. It's like in that particular dive protocol, the breathing mixture was 98% helium and 2% oxygen.
Why?
Okay, helium is lighter than nitrogen, easier to breathe. Plus, nitrogen is a fat-soluble gas. Have you ever heard in diving there's a term called, getting Martini's Law? You get sort of drunk as you go deeper on air, and it's the nitrogen getting into the myelin sheath around your spine expands, that causes a misfire of the synapse, and you get confused. You get feeling like you're drunk. Okay, literally. I mean, we did chamber dives to 250 feet to acclimatize us and show us what this was. And we're down at 250 feet. They give us a math problem. I can't even get my pencil on the slate. Okay? And if someone says something funny and the whole place disintegrates. There were 6 of us in the chamber. And then one guy on a breathing mixture kind of keeps control of everything,
Mm-hmm.
So, but they use the helium, and then the oxygen, air like we breathe here becomes lethal at around 300 feet.
Wow.
You get, you'll just go into convulsions, and down you go. Okay. And so it's working with partial pressure of gases at that depth. Okay. So you're breathing this, and it gives you Donald Duck voice. The helium. Everyone sounds like Donald Duck when you're talking to your guys in the chamber. There'd be like maybe 6 of us living in a chamber, okay, for 30 days at a time.
Mm.
Okay, because the thing about saturation diving is your decompression, like we're saturated at this pressure at sea level, roughly 14.7, give or take whatever for altitude or anything. We're here. We go underwater, the pressure increases. Now, decompression is a function of time and depth. Your body absorbs more gas, and then you have to come up slowly to let that gas come out of solution in your body. Otherwise, you get the bend. Right?
Wow.
Now, so down there at that depth, after 24 hours, you're saturated, thus the term, and your decompression becomes a constant, whether you're down there a day, a week, a month, a year. It's the same decompression schedule. So they kept us down there for 30, plus also when they do decompression on us, they, you're letting $100,000 of gas into the air. So you don't want to do that all the time.
Yeah, right.
And so we
Wow.
would for 30 days on the ship or on the rig. They had a transfer lock. We'd go in there. They put the diving bell on it, equalize the lock. You roll up into the diving bell, seal everything off. They take the lock away, drop you over the side. Right? When you hit your work depth, your bell is already obviously pressurized to your bottom depth, your working depth. You get down there, kick the dog on the hatch falls open, slap your helmet on, go out for 6 hours, do your thing, come back, your partner goes out for 6 hours, does his thing, come back up, button it up, back it up.
Mm.
Stay at the office.
Was this a man's career, or at that time, were there any women in this?
Oh, it was totally guys, totally men, top to bottom. Okay? There were reasons for this. Physiological reasons. Women, because they have an extra layer of fat, as a general rule. The decompression schedules don't hold for them exactly like they would for a man. Plus, they have less lung capacity, and they don't have the physical strength a lot of time. I mean, unless you would have to go out and recruit that top 1% super athletic women, okay, to do what we did. And also, you would have to have separate but equal facilities. And there's no space. I mean, could you put an all-women's dive team together? Yeah, probably. Would you want to? No, not really.
So what you're saying is that men and women are different.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I don't know what it is with liberal movement coming out of our universities that there are now 64 genders. If you can't look down your pants and figure out which bathroom you need to go into, okay, you need to get a refund from that college.
Right.
If as a parent, I would sue it personally and say, my son came here for an education. Now he can't figure out what bathroom to go to. Okay, and I'm not against trans people. Do your own thing. Cool.
Yeah, you're not a hater.
No, not at all. But the pronoun thing, having to figure out all these pronouns, okay? No, I'm not going there. Sorry. You tell me what you want to be called, and I'll call you that.
Right.
Fair enough, right? I'm not going to sit here and have to pull out my iPhone and go to Google and say, okay, it looks like this. What do I call it?
Right.
Maybe that's not a good way to phrase that, but you get the point. It's sort of Jordan Peterson's take on it. I like his, and I like Peterson, and I like the way he thinks and his intellectualism. I just hope he gets better and gets back online again.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a topic for another day.
Yeah.
But the diving industry is a male industry, very alpha male industry. okay? Especially at the diver level. Technicians, yeah, diver levels, oh my God. You get 15 divers in a bar, okay? It's Katie bar the door sometimes.
Mm.
But we had a good time, you know. But alpha males, we were big, strong. I mean, picture you got a dive team made up of maybe 20 guys, early to mid 20s, fit, making good money, working in a dangerous profession where you're only as good as your last dive.
Yeah.
If you screw up, there are 10 more guys on the beach that'll come out and take your job.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And I had my first management lecture. And this thing, you could have spent $150,000 at Wharton and not got this good of a message. It was from Big Joe Wade, Uncle Joe, who was a diving superintendent, big barrel-chested Welshman. And here I was, just turned 20, Dallas, Texas, not-nosed kid, grew up in Highland Park, nice part of Dallas, landing on a crane barge, largest crane barge in the world, a Harima boulder. You heard it hundreds of feet before you landed on it with the helicopter. Come out by helicopter. Right, 4-hour ride. Boom, land on the deck. It's blowing stink. By that, I mean it's cold, freezing cold, sleet, wind. You're standing at the highest point on this thing. I step out and there's Big Joe Wade looking at me. And he goes, boyo, the rules here are simple. I'm God. And in my right hand, I have your arse. The other hand, I have sudden death. From this point forward, it's your call. Now, you can either go down and work with the lads, get back on that chopper and go back and suckle in your mother's teeth. What's it going to be?
Yeah.
I'll go down and work with the men, sir. Good lad. Off you go. That was my first management. My first time offshore. I'm in the middle of the North Sea on this huge crane barge, and here's this big bear, and I came to love Uncle. Just love him. He was a good man. He was a great superintendent, and he formed a team. We were known as the Bad Lads. We were the young, aggressive guys trying to make a name for us. We got sent to all the jobs on staff where they take, and supervisor I worked with the most was Dodge Walden, Dodger the Lodger. And I remember standing on the back of the ship. The job had totally screwed up. He held up this big, thick, this is the technical manual for this. And he threw it over the side of the ship. And he goes, from this, let's get creative, boys. We got 72 hours. That's what we did.
Mm.
Well, we were willing to kind of bend the rules a little bit. And we were dumb enough sometimes, not even know the rules. It was fun. It was a good life.
That's the difference between the academic life and the practical life.
Now, my training to get there, I went to Florida Institute of Technology in Jensen Beach, and it was a 2-year associate's degree. I did 1 year and then booked out. But in that 1 year, I had the best education I'd ever received, the most useful education I ever received. I learned welding. I learned photography. I learned electrical, diesel mechanics, gasoline engine mechanics, hydraulics, we had a class called BUM, Basic Underwater Mechanics. Now here's a bunch of hotshot kids who think they know it all, right? And so here, we're all sitting in here, and the Snap-on guys come in with several tool checks. And they start up. This is a flathead screwdriver. This is a Phillips head. And we're all just like, oh, God, really? And it goes through some tools, and he goes, I'm going to teach you how to use every tool in this chest properly, improperly, and how to fabricate half. So let's go to work. And so that's all it was for 12 weeks, was learning how to use hand tools underwater, which is a whole ball of wax. You want to go have some fun underwater one day, go drive a bike into a telephone pole with a sledgehammer underwater. This don't work. figure out how to do it. Or go make a wooden box. They hand you 4 pieces of wood, 5 pieces of wood, some nails and a hammer. What does wood do underwater? It floats.
Yeah.
And if your wood floated to the surface, the instructor was going to smack you upside the head with it.
Right.
Right? And all our instructors at FIT were ex-Navy. They'd either been fleet divers, i.e., the UDT, underwater demolition team, salvage divers, or they'd been Navy SEALs. And the head of the program was a Navy SEAL, was a captain in the SEAL. These were hard jobs, but they were fair. And the thing that this profession did as a commercial diver, now I was a snot-nosed kid out of Dallas, only child. I had to grow up quick. I had to learn responsibility. I had people's lives in my hands. I was responsible. And you had to learn how to conduct yourself. You had to learn how to live in a foreign country, how to get along. Total, complete paradigm shift. All right? Then you get to the offshore world. That's real out there. People die. I lost 6 friends who were killed, 3 in one summer. That's all I did that summer when I got back on the beach was go to funerals. And so when I came, it would be like being in the military, I guess, close. So we didn't have the bad hair. We came out and you had that confidence. You had a swagger, but you weren't necessarily, what would be the term I'm with? Arrogant. Okay? You weren't a bully. You were fit. You were smart. You've been with places. You've done things. You've traveled. You know, I went all through Europe. I went to the United Arab Emirates. I went to Africa. Okay? All diving. Okay? Cool stuff. Got paid for it. And they paid us well.
It sounds like the phrase that comes to mind as I'm listening to you is a phrase that we've all heard before. But you've heard the phrase, innovation is the mother of invention. And it sounds like that you have your doctorate in innovation.
Yeah, and personal innovation. Okay, recreating yourself. Because I did this diving. And then OPEC and Margaret Thatcher decided I needed a midlife career crisis at 27 years old.
Yeah.
And so I went back to Dallas and became a businessman. All right. And wound up a director in a publicly held company doing litigation support and credit analysis. That's a long way from, standing out on the oil rig in the middle of the North Sea or being 700 feet underwater looking up. And diving. Go ahead.
Are you telling me you didn't just get a job at 20 years old and then work 40 hours a week for 40 years?
Who does that?
Maybe our grandfathers, right?
Maybe. I don't know. One in my family did that. See, that was the thing. I was lucky. Men of our generation, I think we're about the same age. I'm 61.
We are the same age, yes.
Yeah. And my father served in World War II. He was a fighter pilot out in the Pacific. All his friends served. Okay? These were the men that were instrumental in my youth growing up. These are the men that shaped me. They were hard. They had seen things. They were fair. Okay? Did I get smacked around when I messed up? Yeah. Sure. Is it right or wrong? I don't know. It's just the way it was. And I owe a lot to my dad. Good things, bad things. My father taught me how not to be a dad. Okay? And he was a hard guy. He was in the furniture industry. And he was in the manufacturing end of it. And he made little companies into big companies. And he had team of cronies that hung with him, salesmen, engineers, designers, really gifted, talented men, hysterically funny. Some of the sales guys, John St. John in particular, out of Tennessee, and super. And he was just a dude, crazy as a loon, but loved, you just loved him. And these were the men I grew up with. And they were entrepreneurs, they were risk takers. Okay, they weren't 9 to 5 guys. Okay, the only time I ever had a 9 to 5 job, if you will, was growing up. I worked in a restaurant, you know. Okay, and when I got into business, even then, I had to rely on I had to develop entrepreneurial skills and everything. And yeah, we had office hours and everything like this, but we also were allowed to innovate, come up with ideas, brainstorm. We're going to take it this way. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. Because these are startup companies. These are companies trying to get big. And so I was in a company that went public. And that was an intense 6 months. And fortunately, I'd been in diving, so I knew how to discipline myself to do that 80-hour week that was required. Okay? And with the payoff coming at the end, it was a nice payoff in the form of stock options.
Now, you've made many pivots, as I have. Just a quick side note, I've been sending resumes to FIT, Florida Institute of Technology, for about a year now. My goal is to teach there in my senior years. I would like to teach maybe 1 or 2 courses. So that's one of the things that I've been working on. So we will have something in common probably within the next year with FIT. So I'm hoping that's going to happen.
Be at the Melbourne campus, right?
Yeah.
Florida?
Yeah.
Closed the Jensen Beach place down, which is sad. Jensen Beach was kind of a cool place to go hang out.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I got into business. I gravitated toward credit and litigation support because I really liked the law. And then everyone kept saying, oh, you should be a cop. You should go do this. You should go do that. And we did healthcare financing. We developed a plan of factoring that was legal to do in the healthcare industry.
Mm-hmm.
And I developed a program called Strategic Turnaround and Reorganization, a STAR program, where I worked with bankrupt hospitals. And we would take their building and squeeze it and work it and get some kind of cash flow going again. And I worked with like the National Australia Bank that had a $100 million book in healthcare finance. They didn't even have, not even a bank, an office. You know, you go up there, it's the mahogany table and the fine china.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, your coffee stirred with a silver spoon to get at the molecular level, you know.
Yeah.
So, and that was kind of interesting to get involved with that. And then as time went on, I gravitated and actually went into law. I went into the Texas Attorney General's office as a Medicaid fraud investigator. And I was an experiment. I was one of the first guys they hired as an investigator that did not have a law enforcement background. I had an industry background. Okay. I actually knew what a CPT code was walking in the door. And I was an experiment and it worked.
Well, you had highly developed analytical skills from previous work,
Right.
which can't be taught at a university.
No, I agree. Totally agree with that. You have to get out in the real world. You have to develop it. And you have to. It helps to have mentor. I was lucky. I had a mentor for credit analysis who was an old-time credit guy, Skip Tracer, and he taught me. He taught me the tricks and the nuances and how to do things. Okay, and this was all pre-computer, pre-internet. You know, when I joined the Medicaid fraud unit, I got permission to bring my own personal computer up. And I had the strongest computer in the office, and it was a Compaq 286, which isn't about the only thing it's suitable for now is to be a boat anchor.
Yeah, right.
And so, and then technology grew and grew and grew, and had to grow with it. But healthcare fraud was an interesting business. We dealt with some real big players, and in the course of a day, in Medicaid fraud, I could go talking with like A-level attorneys and highly educated doctors and have to be able to speak at their level, being down in the project, interviewing Medicaid recipients, and having to be able to speak at their level. So it was a wide spectrum of society I worked with, which I went into parts of, let's say, Houston, Texas, that I'd spent most of my adult life avoiding. Right? And going in there and going into the projects and meeting the other scouts who kept an eye on the kids and the little gangbangers. Those scared me to death, I'll be honest with you. 15-year-old kid gangbangers. You know, they're a little scary. The older ones are cool, but the young ones are scary.
Yeah.
But, you know, I became the Medicaid man. And so they knew I wasn't there to bust them for dope or child support or anything else. I was just there to make sure their baby mamas and babies and mothers were getting health care they deserve.
Yeah.
I was able to walk around in there pretty comfortably, you know. And then after 9/11, the game changed for me again. And that was the big 9/11 was a pivotal moment in my life. It was, and talking with my dad was still alive at that time, and I equated it to Pearl Harbor. He agreed with it. And that was like Pearl. And I was involved that day, even though I was half a country away. I was in Midland, Texas, working with the FBI at the FBI office. I get a phone call at 7:30 in the morning saying, pack your bags, check out. Your TD, I've already had you reassign TDY to this office. It was a resident agent in charge, Bill, I'll call him Bill, who did that and had me reassigned to him, what we call TDY, temporary duty. And showed up, and I knew what was going on, and we were all standing there, you know, about maybe 15 agents, myself, standing there as the second tower came in. And you could have heard it. There were tears, anger, the emotion.
Yeah.
You know, and it was just, you know, then Bill called us into the operations, briefed us, and sent us on our way. You know, and I got recruited at that point into the Joint Terrorism Task Force. And I worked counter-terrorism. And went after doctors who were persons of interest, suspected of stealing money from government insurance programs and then funneling the money to foreign terrorist groups. 3 of them are. Fourth one.
Let me ask you this. If you were going to work with men one-to-one, and they were seeking you out for advice for life's issues, whether it be a young man, middle-aged guy, or someone a little over middle-aged like us, what angle would you be coming from? What would be your what is your starting point if you were going to speak to men?
Being grounded. Okay? Having an idea of who you are, who you want to be, and where you want to go. And then let's start there. Okay? And try to say, to me, you know, being an alpha male isn't about going to the gym and becoming a bumpy freak and being tatted up. Okay? No. It's about moral courage, about physical courage. It's about intelligence, passion, affinity, and seeking a good life for yourself? Where do you want? What makes you happy? What's a profession? What's something you can do that you can be passionate about? Where's your passion? And why aren't you doing it? What roadblocks? How do we get you to release the burden? That's where I start. Then you start looking at the specific shortcomings or deficiencies or obstacles. Maybe they need some relationship about dealing with women. Maybe they need how to deal with other men. That's a big one. But young men today are taught. I don't know. I meet young men in their 20s, and they have no ambition. A lot of them. I mean, like by the time I was 20, I'd been to Europe, I'd been to Africa, I was working in the North Sea, I'd been a dive gypsy, I'd been in bar fights. You know, it's like I told my son. I have an 18-year-old son. Until you wake up in the bushes drunk with your pants around your ankles and don't know where you are, you haven't experienced everything life has to offer.
Yeah.
You know, no, I'm just kidding on that thing. But it, like for my son, I knew he wasn't going to be like me. Okay, I was athletic, enjoyed the outdoors, adventure, risk taker. You know, God, I had enough plaster of Paris on me that I could have made a small sculpture probably. And he wasn't that way. And I wasn't going to make him be that. That's the worst thing a father can do to us. I mean,
yeah,
guiding, but trying to make a mini me with someone who's not wired that way, that's not going to work. That's a recipe for disaster.
yeah.
And my son's an artist, and he's good. And he's looking at going to University of Southern California Art Institute, Pratt in New York. Okay, and that's his thing, and computer games. All right, but I have to teach him other things. You know, of being a man, about responsibility, personal responsibility, family responsibility, societal responsibility. We're at a time right now. This is a good time. This is a good learning time. There's a lot of lessons to be learned right now with this COVID virus. You know, personal liberty versus personal responsibility, and to balance them. So that's where I would start and give advice. And the other thing, like I advise this guy, musician, nice guy, great guy, but no life experience, none. And I'm like, sell everything you got, walk to the airport and say, get a passport, go to the airport, give them a third of it, and say, how far can I go on this one? And go.
Yeah.
Just decide if you want to go east or west. Okay? Go. Get out there. Get in the world. Our young men need to get into the world.
Get out of the basement and into the world.
Shake the cheetah dust off and get out there. Okay?
Yeah.
You got to get your heart broke. You got to get your nose busted. You got to get your knuckles scraped. Okay? To learn a little bit about life and have that depth of experience to draw from. And you got to learn how to put out, how to work, what it means to hit the wall and then have to go past it. You know, the Navy SEALs have a rule that when you feel like you're going to collapse and you can't take another step, physically take enough, you still have 40% to draw from. It's deep, and you got to learn how to reach in and pull that out. And
find your reserves.
Exactly. And you have to find your shadow, as Nietzsche put it, the beast that we all keep. And you have to learn how to wield the beast. The beast doesn't wield. The guys who were in prison, the beast took over. Okay? You got to learn how to wield your beast. You got to know that that's in you. Because a good man is a dangerous man. That there's always, that he can draw on that when it's needed. And it can be verbal, it can be physical. It has to do both. Okay? But it has to be controlled. Then it's dangerous. I don't know if that makes any sense.
It does. It reminds me, I mean, I'm just trying to sum things up and wrap it up here. 3 things need to be broken: your heart, your nose, and the old habits.
Yeah.
Once you, that's kind of like the rite of passage. And as long as we remain safe, surrounded in a padded room, without the
bubble wrap kids with the helicopter parents.
Bubble wrap kids with helicopter parents. Wow. Wow.
They are not going to inherit the earth. Sorry. They're going to be basement dwellers. You know, and then with women. God, one of my favorite subjects here, a lot of men. I was lucky. I had 3 great women in my life. It took me through what I call the 3 basics. I have just a moment. When I was 18, I was bartending. There was a beautiful 16-year-old girl who we fell in love. And Mel was beautiful, chestnut long hair, and a big bright smile, and really just great. She was just like a wild horse. I mean, she was just free-spirited. That's the word. She taught me the beauty and sweetness of, okay, that summer romance. I went to Scotland. I met a woman, model, Greek, 6 foot tall. Lisa taught me about pain, frail. She ripped her heart out, threw it out of her airplane crossing the Atlantic.
Mm.
I don't even think that was.
Wow.
Okay? That's an important lesson.
Yes, it is.
We were engaged. We were together 5 years. He left me for a guy in Greece with a ton of money who was in the import-export business. My last words to her was, I hope he smells like goat cheese. And then I met my wife. And that taught me steady love. Not some big fireworks, not everything that. And also taught me that a relationship's a business, a partnership, a good one.
Yes. Yes.
Okay? Because not only are you emotionally binding yourself together, you're professionally binding yourself together. You become a business. See, having a family today is a business proposition. Really, it sounds cold-blooded, but it's true. Look at what you're investing in. You know, hundreds of thousands of dollars to get a home. Incomes. How do we blend it? How do we do this? How do we do taxes? Oh, okay. Now we got this, consumable asset known as a child, and consumable by having a teenage boy that you just put a bucket, like a trough, out in front of his house feeding. And then he's going to require a big sum of money to go to university and get educated, maybe. Right? Thinking Paris, the University of Paris Island is always.
Yeah.
I'd like them to be conscious when you drop them off. That's the only down. When you drop them off at the Marine Recruiting Center, they really like them conscious. I mean, chloroformed out, not so much.
Yeah.
So those 3 sectors, then you're equipped, I think, with the tools that help you analyze that. There are times to say enough. Try to make it amicable, and just say, this is, we're not the same anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not getting what I need. You're not getting what you need. We don't need 2 attorneys. We don't need $30,000 of things. Here's what we brought in. Da, da, da. Here's yours. Here's mine. Here's ours. Beat and pound on each other. Work it all out. Have an attorney there to sign it off and go. If I were to get divorced or leave my, I'm 61 years old. I'm not going to get. I can accomplish everything I need to do with a legal document without having to have government approval. I mean, just think about having a government contract or contract with the government for marriage. Their tacit approval. Look how much that costs us. If you didn't have to, you have to go to the court system in many cases. You get your income drawn off. Then, then I don't know if I can, sorry for the language.
Yeah.
And I live in Austin, Texas, which is liberal as liberal could be. Like when I moved here, I saw a bumper sticker that said "Save the Firing." I knew I was kind of, this wasn't going to be the same. I moved from Dallas.
Yeah.
And it's a very liberal city. And guys get hosed every day. And fortunately, if your kids are grown or like turn 18 or something like that, you're okay, but maybe. But, we need to I wish we could get married without having to get government involved. I don't see a need for it. I don't know why there was a need. Well, the need was to get money off, obviously. But we need to get that part taken.
Yeah, that's definitely a topic for another day, and I want to explore that more with you, because with more than half of all marriages ending in divorce, there's a lot of courses, premarital courses for men, how to be married, how to be a husband, how to be a father, but that's only half equipping a man for life. Right. That's why men are so blindsided many times by divorce. They just all of a sudden, the child that they see every day is now an entity that they visit every other weekend and one night a week. And that's really hard for a lot of men to take. So I think the next time we talk, I want to talk about that. I want to talk about your experience in law enforcement, and I want, especially related to, like we talked about, how you and I have corresponded via email, and then we see each other face to face, and now you see the nuances. In law enforcement, you were the master of nuances when you did your investigation. Oh, yeah. Facial expressions and nuance were your superpowers.
Well, one of my top skills was doing interrogations in an interview. Okay, and doing an interrogation suspect, you have about 30 seconds to establish yourself and take control.
That is going to be a great topic. Will you do that again with me in the next couple weeks?
Absolutely.
It's interesting. There is a proverb, an African proverb, that says, when an old man dies, a library burns to the ground. And it's not that you and I are old men, but I think once you hit 60, we have so much intellectual capital that can go to waste. And I think it's our responsibility as the elders in society to pass this on to young men, young people. I don't want that library to burn to the ground when I die. I want to empty myself out for the rest of my life, distributing all that I have taken in. And I feel that you have that same spirit.
Yes, and I call it the bear trap. If I can keep young men from stepping in the same bear traps,
yes,
I did, and having to not gnaw their arm off one morning.
Yes.
So that's a good thing. I mean, we have managed to survive 60 plus years. Okay? Something to be said for that. Something to be said for that. And so we didn't do it alone. We've had mentors and people we looked up to, people we listened to all along the way. You know, in business, I was lucky I had a man who put his hand on my shoulder, said, here we go. Guided me through it. When I got in law enforcement, Bob, who is my trainer, a wise old wily detective, put his hand on my head, said, watch this. Shut up. Listen. Observe.
I love it. I love it. Mr. John Hoover, North Sea deep diver, law enforcement credit expert, interrogator, interviewer, father, husband, and a man. It's a pleasure meeting you and talking to you, and I hope we get to do it again, sir.
Me too. I enjoyed it totally. Totally. Good fun.